My phone rang at exactly 2:03 a.m., and I remember the time because I stared at the screen longer than I should have, trying to understand why my daughter's name was lighting it up at that hour. I answered immediately, my voice already tight with fear. "Emily." There was silence on the other end for a second that felt far too long. Then I heard her voice, shaking, barely holding together. "Dad, I'm at the police station." My chest tightened, so suddenly it felt like something had physically grabbed my heart. "What do you mean you're at the police station?" I need you to come get me." Her voice cracked at the end, and that was the moment I knew something was seriously wrong. I didn't ask anything else. I didn't want to hear it over the phone. "I'm on my way," I said, already grabbing my keys. The drive from our house in Greenwich, Connecticut to the station usually took 12 minutes. That night, it felt like 12 years. Every red light felt like a personal attack. Every second stretched into something unbearable. My mind kept racing through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Had she been drinking? Was she hurt? Did she hurt someone? Emily Whitfield was not that kind of girl. Or at least, that's what I believed. When I finally pulled into the station parking lot, my hand was shaking so badly I had to sit there for a second before getting out. The building looked cold and indifferent, like it already knew something I didn't. I walked inside, trying to steady my breathing. A uniformed officer looked up at me from behind the desk. "Can I help you?" "My daughter," I said, my voice coming out tighter than I intended. "Emily Whitfield." The officer nodded slowly, as if confirming something in his mind. "She's in the back," he said. Then he added, "We've been waiting for you." Those words didn't comfort me. They made it worse. I followed him down a narrow hallway that smelled faintly of disinfectant and something else I couldn't place. When we reached the room, he opened the door and stepped aside. And that's when I saw her. Emily was sitting at a metal table, her shoulders hunched, her hair messy in a way I had never seen before. She looked smaller than usual, like the weight of something had pressed her down. "Dad." She stood up the second she saw me. I walked in quickly, pulling her into a tight hug. "Are you okay?" She nodded, but it wasn't convincing. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice said otherwise. I pulled back and looked at her properly. There was something different, not just fear, something deeper, something hidden. "Emily, what is going on?" Before she could answer, another officer stepped into the room. A man in his 40s, calm, observant. "Mr. Whitfield," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Detective Nolan Prescott." I shook his hand, though my focus was still entirely on my daughter. "Can someone please tell me what happened?" Detective Prescott glanced at Emily for a moment before speaking. "Your daughter was brought in earlier tonight in connection with an ongoing investigation." "Investigation?" The word felt heavy in my mouth. "What kind of investigation?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled out a chair and sat down across from us. "Mr. Whitfield," he said carefully, "how much do you know about your daughter's activities over the past year?" I frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "She goes to school. She comes home. I stopped mid-sentence, because for the first time, I realized how automatic that answer sounded. How assumed. How unverified. Detective Prescott leaned forward slightly. "That's what you believe," he said calmly. "But that's not what's been happening." My heart dropped. "What are you saying?" Emily looked down at the table, her hands gripping each other tightly. "Emily," I said softly, "look at me." She didn't. "Emily." Slowly, she raised her eyes. And what I saw there wasn't just fear. It was guilt. "Dad," she whispered. "I've been working." I blinked, trying to process that. "Working? Where?" She hesitated, and that hesitation felt like the ground shifting beneath me. "Downtown," she said quietly. "At a place called Aurora Lounge." The name meant nothing to me, but the way she said it did. I looked back at Detective Prescott. "What kind of place is that?" He didn't sugarcoat it. "It's a high-end nightclub," he said. My stomach turned. "And your daughter hasn't just been working there." He paused, watching my reaction. "She's been involved in facilitating private events tied to individuals we've been investigating for financial crimes." The words hit me like a series of slow, deliberate blows. "Financial crimes?" I looked at Emily again. "Emily, what is he talking about?" Tears filled her eyes instantly. "I didn't know at first," she said quickly. "I swear I didn't." "Know what?" that they were using the club for illegal deals. My mind struggled to catch up. You've been working there for a year? She nodded slowly. A year. The disbelief in my voice was impossible to hide. A whole year, Emily? She looked like she was about to break. I didn't want to tell you, she whispered. Why? Because you would have stopped me. There it was. The first crack in everything I thought I knew. Let me ask you something. If you were in my place, hearing this for the first time at 2 a.m. in a police station, would you feel anger first or fear? Because I felt both. At the same time. Overlapping, clashing, impossible to separate. What kind of work were you doing? I asked, my voice lower now. Hosting, she said. Arranging private rooms, coordinating guests. And you didn't think that was something you should tell me? I thought I could handle it, she said. I thought it was just a job. Detective Prescott cleared his throat gently. There's more, he said. Of course there was. There always is. What else? I asked, bracing myself. He looked directly at me. Your daughter wasn't just present. She was trusted. I felt my chest tighten again. Trusted how? Emily shook her head immediately. Don't, she said softly. But he continued anyway. She was responsible for managing access to certain individuals who are now under investigation. The implication was clear. She wasn't just involved. She was part of it. No, I said instinctively. No, that's not possible. Dad, you wouldn't do that. I didn't know everything, she said, her voice breaking. But I knew enough. That was the moment everything shifted. Not because of what she said, but because of how she said it. She knew, at least partially, and she chose to stay. Why? That was all I could ask. Why would you stay? She looked at me with a mix of pain and something else I couldn't quite place. Because I needed to. Needed to? For what? She hesitated again, and then she said something I never expected. For Mom. The room went silent. My breath caught in my throat. What? You think I didn't know? She said, her voice suddenly stronger. About her treatments? My entire body went still. How much it costs? Emily, you try to hide it, she continued. But I saw the bills. I felt something inside me collapse. She's getting worse, Dad. And you were drowning trying to keep up. I had never told her that. Not once. I thought if I could help. Her voice broke completely now. I thought if I could just make enough, it would take some of the pressure off. Everything inside me shifted again. The anger, the fear, now mixed with something else entirely. Guilt, because I had underestimated her. And at the same time, I had lost her without even realizing it. Detective Prescott spoke again, more gently this time. She's not being charged, he said. We believe she was used more than she was involved. Relief flooded through me so quickly it almost made me dizzy. But she's going to need to cooperate, he added. I nodded slowly, still processing everything. Emily looked at me carefully, as if waiting for something. Judgment, anger, rejection. Instead, I stepped closer and pulled her into another hug. This one tighter, stronger. I should have seen it, I said quietly. I should have asked more questions. She shook her head against my shoulder. I should have told you. We stood there like that for a moment that felt both too long and not long enough. When we finally walked out of the station together, the night air felt colder than before, but somehow clearer, because the truth, no matter how painful, has a way of cutting through everything else. And as we got into the car, I realized something I hadn't fully understood until that night. You don't lose people all at once. You lose them slowly, in the things you don't ask, in the things they don't say. And sometimes it takes a moment like this to finally see what's been there all along. Audience question. If you discovered your child had been hiding something like this to protect your family, would you feel betrayed or proud?